Joining us live now is the senior advisor to the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, Mark Regev. Mark, it's good to see you again. So just off the back of the breaking news today, we've got a 2-day extension to the truce. Will there be another extension beyond that?
It all depends on Hamas, because we've said publicly that we're willing to extend the truce by 1 day each time for 10 released hostages. And so if Hamas keeps releasing hostages, the truce will continue. But today's bittersweet. Today was the 4th release in 4 days, and we got 50 people out, 50 women and children. Tonight on the last release, the one that's just happening now, 11 people, 9 children, of them twins 3 years old. And I just stress that point because I want you and the audience to understand. Hamas kidnapped twins aged 3. What does that tell you about Hamas and who they are? They kidnapped toddlers.
These pictures, Mark, and these scenes that we're seeing of these homecomings, it makes it very difficult to return to full-scale war after this, does it not?
On the contrary, we only got these people out, the 50 we've got out over the last few days. Of course, we thank President Biden in the White House who negotiated hard to get this release, and we appreciate his efforts. But we only got these people out because of the military pressure on Hamas. You know, Hamas didn't suddenly become a humanitarian organization worried about international humanitarian law. On the contrary, they're a group of terrorists, they're extremists, they're fanatics, and they're brutal. We've seen their brutality, the way they killed our people. They have released hostages because of the pressure that they were under from the Israeli Defense Forces. We were breaking up their military machine. We were eliminating their senior leadership. They were desperate for a timeout. And the only way they could get such a break, such a respite, was to agree to the release of hostages. So actually, the military campaign against Hamas has facilitated the release of these 50 hostages. Okay. And if this continues, more hostages will be out too.
So you wouldn't have a problem going back to full-scale war, full-scale bombing?
No, we have to go back ultimately because we have to defeat Hamas and make a new situation in Gaza. You've got to understand, as long as Hamas is in power, Israelis don't feel safe. We saw what they did on October 7th, and their leadership proclaims that they do that sort of attack again and again and again. To put it simply, Pete, Israelis simply refuse to live any longer next to this terror enclave on our southern border. So you wouldn't agree to live next to a terrorist enclave.
Sure.
Why should we?
So how close do you think, Mark, you are to completing your task, your military mission?
I'm sorry, but I can't put a time on it. The goal is the end of Hamas's rule in Gaza and the return of all our hostages. As long as it takes, it'll take. But that's our goal, and we will reach that goal.
Right. I mean, but are you going to get all of them, though? Because Hamas is going to want to keep some leverage, would they not?
I have no doubt that Hamas is not going to release all the hostages, and that's another reason when this current pause is over, that the military operation will continue until victory.
Tell me something, Mark. How are you deciding on which Palestinian prisoners to release?
So it's part of the agreement that was negotiated. Because they have decided to release women and children, we are releasing women and minors who were involved in security and terrorist actions. I'll give you an example. If there's a teenager, 15, 16, who the terrorists convinced to pick up a knife and to stab people, and he's in jail, that sort of person is being released now. There's obviously a risk. When you release someone involved in violence, there's always a chance that they will return to violence. But to get our people out, to save our people who are in these Hamas tunnels in Gaza, and we don't know what their fate will be, if we can save them, we think it's a calculated risk, a risk worth taking.
Okay. Mark Regev, the senior advisor to Benjamin Netanyahu. Thanks for your time as always, Mark.
Thank you.